Hello everybody. Welcome to the month of September. Gonna give it a couple of minutes. You may be asking why we're streaming on Facebook. Well, we're actually streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube simultaneously right now. We made some last minute decisions due to our setup to see if YouTube is really the way we want to go right now. We've been talking about it for a long time. We found out there is a loophole. We've been talking for months about trying to get enough subscribers to be able to go live, but that only on mobile. But we can go live on a laptop, which I've got my laptop here set to the right. It's a very inconvenient camera angle.
Bright.
So bright.
Look how shiny.
You look like we've both been in the sun for a long time. But we're running concurrent lives. The one on YouTube right now is going to be a test. If anybody happens to watch that one, we will leave it up for a little bit because it is just a test run. Let us know quality between the two. I know that the iPhone that we're using has a really good camera.
We're talking about quality of picture and audio,
not of
content or us.
Correct.
We're very aware of our quality or lack thereof.
Because when we're looking at the, I'm just looking into the YouTube camera right now into our YouTube audience of 0, while we have 3 people watching us on Facebook. Thank you guys. We're noticing, at least on our end, there is somewhat of a delay, a drag. It looks like tracers whenever I move too quickly. Where over here it's all high definition, you don't see that.
That looks sketch.
I know.
That angle.
We're over.
It's dark.
Yeah.
And it looks very sketchy.
This is behind the scenes, like literally behind us.
Oh my gosh.
Are you? Oh, you're. I was like, wow, that looks really good. That's the Facebook Live. All right, so we'll give this another minute or so to give everybody time to hop on.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the chat, but why can't I pull up the chat?
While we're doing this, give me 1 second. I've got to go get something to wipe my glasses off, and I'll be right back while Leah is trying to get the chat working.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the deal is. So if you're commenting and I don't see it, just give me a moment. There's the chat.
Now, to say I can see the comments over there.
Thank you, Kathleen.
I can see that people are commenting, but even with these glasses, I can't read small print that far away.
Kathleen says, hello, looks good.
She was saying that about you while I was off camera.
She's not saying it about me.
And feel free if you hop over onto the YouTube channel and you look at the quality of the video and audio of that one. There is a chat room on that one as well. Feel free to hop in and tell us what it's like.
It's pretty bad when you have to put a disclaimer.
Yeah,
of that.
we're the laptop. We've got new laptops, and I mean they're really good as far as streaming capability. Everything seems good, but I mean you only have the quality of the camera that comes with the computer. It's possible that we may have to upgrade to a webcam of some type. I know. Do people use webcams anymore? Is that a thing? Do people use webcams for legitimate business?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think we've made webcam sound bad.
Dirty.
But I think it's just the word webcam. I don't know why.
Do we have a web camera?
Well, that's just weird.
I mean, I know that there's websites out there that people make a lot of money. Nah, we're not going to go there. All right, so welcome to September 1st. We are 20 days away from fall, but here at Paranormal Help, we're already celebrating fall months.
I love fall.
It's my favorite season. Winter comes a close second. I know a lot of people look at me like, oh my God, but I can't stand the heat. I don't like hot weather. It's, ugh.
We look like we're pretty
I know.
Right?
We've been
I feel like I'm in like a sauna.
If you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. And we look like we've been in the kitchen. Can I click away from that? Yes, I can. I don't even have to watch the camera over here if I don't want to. Put up a different screen.
So what's going on?
So let's do with our normal. Today being September 1st. There is actually quite a bit of celebrations going on today. I'm going to start with today's National Burnt Ends Day. I have no idea what that means, but I'll check it out here in just a second.
Oh, I gotta Google that.
Yeah, please check that out while I'm giving the rest of them. And then
Burnt Ends Day.
National Acne Positivity Day. So does that mean we're positive about our acne, or we're positive about
I'm not.
taking care of our acne?
I guess I need to just embrace it.
Well, today is your day. Be positive in your acne. Do you have acne?
Yes.
Okay. I can't tell. You look nice.
I'm still Googling, sorry.
Okay, no. National No Rhyme Nor Reason Day. That sounds about like every day for me. Why are you doing that? I ain't got no rhyme or reason for it. And then World Lettering Day. World Letter Writing Day. So I know everybody's in this, day and age of technology, of sending emails, but, there's nothing like the old-fashioned pen to paper. It's more personal. Write your feelings down to somebody and send it. Today is a celebration of that. Do we have Burn Ends Day yet?
Evidently, it started in Kansas City. It's barbecue related.
Barbecue good. I do like barbecue.
Some kind of sandwich. Huh.
Well, those of you that like smoked pork, beef, and chicken, raise your hands. That's some good stuff right there.
Okay, so burnt ends are considered by some the holy grail of barbecue. Ever since I got into smoking meat, I've been told that burnt ends are the pinnacle of barbecue. Sounds like my kind of cooking, because I like my meat burnt. But that's probably not what it means.
Here's a little bit more information on it. Once considered trimmings or leftovers, burnt ends come from the point of the brisket. So the piece of meat, it's the end of the meat. Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Leah don't like barbecue, so if I can find a reason to get her to eat barbecue, this might be the reason.
Well, I think barbecue means something different than what it does all over the world. Like typically when we say barbecue, we think of like barbecue sauce, barbecue stuff.
Yeah.
But barbecue is pretty much, I think, anything on a grill.
Yeah, there's some people that when you hear, you ask them, oh, can we barbecue? They're like, oh, smoked meat, yes, barbecue sauce. And there's others that are like, oh, hamburgers and hot dogs. To me, it's all encompassing.
It doesn't mean it has barbecue sauce on it.
Or no, I'm more like barbecues, more like barbecue sauce. Grilling out is hamburgers, hot dogs, steaks, stuff like that.
Okay. We're really beating this dead horse, aren't we?
Hopefully not putting dead horse on the barbecue, though.
I've never had it.
I haven't either, and I'm sure that there's a delicacy out there somewhere for this. But anyway, so last month, during the month of August, I almost said the month of October. Too much fall stuff. The month of August, we took the opportunity to drive down to a little jewel down in the North Georgia mountains. You kind of grimaced when I said jewel.
And I was like,
So down there is a Bigfoot / Sasquatch
What?
museum. What?
A
Bigfoot?
what?
A Bigfoot
sharp.
/ Sasquatch. Bigfoot / Sasquatch. Say it 3 times fast.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti,
Wait a minute.
abominable snowman.
Yeah, wait a minute. Go back. The word that starts with an S. Say it again.
Sasquatch.
Say.
Sasquatch.
Okay, you said Sasquatch the first time. I was like, there's no additional A in there.
Sasquatch.
Just Sasquatch.
If you're Southern, there's an additional A. It's a Sasquatch.
It's more like a sassy squatch.
That's my daughter.
Girl.
Sassy Squatch.
Sassy squatch. All right, so anyway, we took the opportunity to go down there because, I mean, you know, a few months ago we hit up West Virginia and went to the Mothman Museum. And how can we not try out the Bigfoot Museum after going there? Now, of course,
I was firmly opposed.
very much so. She was. But again, it's like we were just out driving. We were going down, just trying to look for some photographic opportunities down in that neck of the woods, or should I say neck of the mountains. Anyway, so we're down there in the Blue Ridge Mountain area, and there's this little museum. Evidently, it is the museum and research center for the area for Bigfoot and Big Feets. Bigfoot. No one really knows what the plural of that is. And Sasquatch.
Bigfoot eye.
Big squatch eye is what I was going to say. Yeti. So we went in there and kind of.
And I'm sorry I keep drinking this, but I scarfed down dinner, so I'm a little dry.
Quick dinner.
A little parched.
Did you have burn-ins?
No.
Okay. So we go down there. I'll admit there was a little bit of, underwhelming. We're thinking like, how big a deal can this really be? We kind of had the same feeling when we went to the Mothman Museum, and we were actually pleasantly surprised at how much information that there was. One of the cats just got on the table, if you're wondering why Leah's giving the struggle. She fought to get up here. She's right below you. You can't see her. She'll be on shot here in just a second, but they come up every single live. Where was I? So
we were underwhelmed.
Yeah, so we didn't think we're like, how much stuff could there really be? The Mothman Museum was pretty intense. There was a lot of first-hand information, a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff from the Mothman Prophecies movie. I would have to say that the Bigfoot Museum was actually, there was a lot more to it than there was the Mothman Museum, but also keeping in mind that most of the Mothman sightings were contained in the Point Pleasant, West Virginia area. Now there's some nationwide, but the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Abominable Snowman legend is global, and they had stuff from all over the world down there. They had alleged fingers, scalps. They had a box of poop that was this long. I was impressed. And
long piece of dung.
Yeah, very long piece of dung. So going in, I was just like, okay, I want to go down there just for the be able to say we went. We look at weird things. As we're into the weird and the unknown, and we've never considered ourselves cryptozoological people. And I didn't expect a whole lot coming out of this, but I've learned over the years where I go anywhere with Leah, if we're walking along together and then I lose her because she's in depth studying something, or she's just reading, or she's just kind of standing there, then
She's made me sound
no, I don't know any other way to explain it. When she trees like a hound dog, you want me to put it that way?
Yeah, that's so much better.
But I could tell that Leah had quit the build up. Leah picked up on something in this museum. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is to kind of give a little bit of a disclaimer, the theory or the thought process that she came up with is something that I just talked about last month on our last live when we were talking about black-eyed children. So it's kind of interesting that here we are 2 months consecutive talking about the weird and the unknown as far as, creatures go, but that there's actually, could be a connection between the two. I will let Leah kind of explain her feeling if she would like, or what she was picking up on while we were at the
Okay,
the
I don't
museum.
understand what you mean that we talked about it on our live.
You'll
'Cause
understand.
this wasn't something that we discussed.
It's something I brought up.
Okay, so so I was meandering around the museum, and I mean, I can't explain it any other way than you're just drawn to something in particular. Or sometimes I can just walk by something and then how do you explain the story? You don't sound crazy. You just get an impression, I guess is the best way to say it. But one thing I never even occurred to me, because I'm not a big cryptozoologist, and I mean, that's just not my thing, okay, typically.
I used to be into it like a long time ago. I was one of the first people to hurrah and cheer back in 2008 when those boys in Georgia claimed that they caught a Bigfoot and they had it in a freezer. And when it was revealed as a rubber suit stuffed with roadkill, that was kind of the end of it for me. I've never been into it since.
Well, anyway, there was an artifact that I passed by, and I just got an impression of that I believe there's a connection between Bigfoot and the Nephilim.
Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Nephilim, if you go back into Genesis chapter 6, I'm actually going to read verse 1 because that kind of all encompasses it, and I'm reading out of the Amplified. It says, "When men began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair, and they took wives of all they desired and chose." So in that term, the sons of God were angels. Bene Elohim is the Hebrew for that, and it's plural sons of God as opposed to son of God, which is what Christ was. The another term for the Bene Elohim were they were called the Watchers. And now you'll hear that terminology a lot in this book, which is the book of Enoch. Now Enoch is not I can't say this word right, canonical. It is not a book that is found in your traditional Bible. However, it is referenced in the Bible several different times. And what's cool about this particular edition, which you can, it's called the Books of Enoch, the Angels, the Watchers, and the Nephilim. You can get this on Amazon, and it actually has parallels where it will give the verse in Enoch, and then it'll give you the parallel in the Bible where the Bible actually referenced to it. And Jesus actually referenced the book of Enoch several times. So even though it's not in the canon that we know, it is still, it can be considered a historical book. It's actually a very mystical book, if you think about it, because it talks about Enoch's visions. It goes into description of Enoch in heaven being shown the throne of God. But it goes into the Watchers quite a bit. And let me get here into the book. It actually starts in chapter 6 of Enoch and goes all the way through chapter 10, where, even the first verse of Enoch in chapter 6 is, "And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born to them beautiful and fair daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw and lusted after them and said to one another, 'Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men.'" And it goes into a whole lot of that. But then the Nephilim were begot from the angels going into the daughters of men. They were the offspring. And so what Leah is picking up on here is that these creatures, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, so forth, are you saying that they could possibly, or you feel a good connection that
I feel a really strong, it was pretty strong, the impression that I got, especially when I walked over in a certain area where some artifacts were, and I can't tell you exactly, it was actual footprint casts. Is that what it was?
Yes, there were a lot of those, a lot of different casts of footprints.
Yeah, so what kind of, I guess, sealed it or confirmed it for me, there was a section over in the museum where you could hear actual audio recordings of what they thought to be these things communicating.
And I was going to play some of those for you guys, but having to use my phone today, so you can actually look those up on YouTube. I might actually go over here in just a second on my laptop and see if I can't pull them up while Leah's talking. So if you'll talk, I'll see if I can pull them up. I'm going to go ahead.
But anyway, you're able to put on these headphones and listen to the different sounds. And when I heard that, I could just, I mean, I can say that, but I mean, it's just my personal impression. And I never even would have connected the two, or even, that wouldn't have been even on my radar. But after I got that impression, I just did, I think Mike was doing a live or something.
We did a couple of videos.
And while he was doing that, I didn't know he was doing that, but I was walking around trying to find him. And so I did just a quick Google search of, I think my search was Nephilim and Bigfoot. And so when I did that search, then a whole bunch of stuff just populated. And I was like, okay, maybe it's a thing. So I didn't even read any of it because I don't want to, I want my impressions to be genuine. I don't want them to be corrupted, I guess, through, doing research and looking things up and stuff like that. So I didn't want to read any of that, but I let Mike know. I was like, hey, I just did a quick Google search and evidently this is a thing, but here's my impressions. So yeah, it was really interesting. But yes, when I listened to the sounds, I mean, there was one sound that played and it was like, I didn't get anything from it. And then there was this one, like it was on a loop of different sounds. And then there was this other one where I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of really sealed the deal for me.
And some of them were, I mean, I hate to sound like I'm jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else, but they were very primate sounding to start. But then there were some that were, I mean, I would call them straight up howls. And I think that's what you were talking about got you.
No, it sounded like I don't know, there was a cadence to it, but it wasn't just like something howling or something like whooping or whatever you want to call it. There was a cadence to it, and it had almost kind of an electronic or metallic sound to it. Like if you've ever heard anything demonic, it's not just a voice. It's like it's several voices combined into one, but you hear and feel the different voices overlaid on top of each other. Like you can tell there's more than just one.
Right. Any demonic EVP that I've heard has that.
Yeah.
That sound to it. All right. I am still trying to dig up this audio.
So it was just, I don't know, it just was a very strong impression. And so I thought it was worth letting Mike know and to check into it, Evidently, I guess, he's done some research that there's some, several schools of thought concerning it and everything.
So what we'll do is I'm going to back up in the story here to when we were walking around in the museum.
And if anybody has any questions or any comments or whatever, please chime in. You don't have to know anything about Bigfoot or even Nephilim or anything.
Yeah.
Just pop in, we love interaction.
But we were walking through an area of the museum that was somebody's desk. It was actually part of the research area for the actual research center, as it were known. And they've got it set up so you can walk by. It's got all this stuff says please don't touch and whatnot, but you can tell that it is an active desk. And there's a bookshelf sitting there with all these different books on it. And most of them are your typical, the legend of Bigfoot, Yeti in the Himalayas, all this type of,
Hey, Jack.
book titles and stuff. Jack. But I happen to notice at the very, very end of the bookshelf sat this book, which I've had this book for a long time. It's the Book of Enoch. And I thought, I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. Why would they have this book in a Bigfoot museum? And I didn't say anything to Leah. I just brushed it off. I've had this book for YouTube people. You're now getting to see Dobby if you haven't already met her. But, I've had this book for a really long time. Leah bought it for me several years ago. And I recognized it right off the bat. And I'm like, why would they have this book in a Bigfoot museum? And then she hits me with this. And I was like, maybe there is a bigger school of thought of this. So I actually dug in.
Jack says you need to join the Santa Brotherhood. I told him, I said, he kind of looks like Bigfoot today to kind of, but yeah, if he needs a little more,
I got enough gray.
A little more white to that, and then he'll be full on Santa.
I should have worn my other glasses. I've got the rimless kind that you don't see. Then maybe I would have looked like Santa more. So I started digging in. And what Leah said was right. There's a lot. Well, I say a lot. The majority of stuff comes back to 3 people as far as this theory, but it is a prevalent theory when you take into account that, there's, unfortunately, if that's however you want to look at it, there's not a large amount of people that believe in this stuff. So the man that wrote the book, so to speak, was a man named Ron Carpenter. He's written several books on Bigfoot, and I didn't get it in my notes, and that's my fault. But I can't quite remember off the top of my head the title of his book. But it's connecting Bigfoot and the Nephilim. Actually, I can, since I've got my computer right here in front of me, let me look it up here. It's called The Nephilim Among Us, the identity and origin of Sasquatch and other mysterious creatures. And there's 2 different editions. There is the original, and then there's also an updated version. The updated version came out in, looks like 2019. So there's that book, and then there's just a lot of other people that kind of jump on board with his theories. Ron Moorhead, who is a huge name in the Sasquatch community, if you follow it. He has been on multiple television shows and series hunting these things, and he is the one that got the recordings that we got to listen to while we were at the museum. Those were recorded in, it was either 1975 or 1977. I can't remember which one, but he's also in that. So I started looking into kind of where this connection came from. Now, the reason why I said this is connected to last month's is, you remember I told you that there was a theory that black-eyed children were modern-day Nephilim.
Oh, yeah.
So there's really no connection between these 2 lives, between these 2 stories, but it's interesting that we're looking at, we've presented 2 things back to back. First of all, that are creatures and not, ghosts, which is more of our thing, but still it's considered paranormal. And then we're looking at 2 things that have also been looked at as potential Nephilim. But there is, where that was more of an idea, someone has actually, gone in and come up with several theories as to why. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer that some of these are not what I would call credible, but some of the stuff it's interesting to think on. So where this all kind of started was, there was a woman by the name of Melba Ketchum, Dr. Melba Ketchum. She is a veterinarian out of the great state of Texas. And she started what was called the Sasquatch Genome Project. And in that, they were able to get some, what was purported to be Sasquatch DNA, which of course, they find all different types of evidence: scalps, hair, feces, things like that, and they're able to pull the stuff from there to get the DNA.
That Dana.
Dana.
I think that's what Medina calls it, Dana.
Get some of that Dana.
Got some of that Dana.
So whenever they did the, hold on, I'm trying to get where I got it here on my notes. Okay, so whenever they took the DNA, whenever they look at it, they're able to splice and look at the mother and the father, who gave what, the X and the Y, whatever. Anyway. If I just did something in sign language, it was vulgar. I'm sorry. So what they were able to do is she found that out of the DNA, the mother DNA of the Sasquatch is human. The father DNA is unknown. Now there are some that say that it was and let me see some different studies that I've read. It depends upon where you read this. Some say it was human and unknown primate, which makes you wonder what people are doing in the jungles. I'm going to leave it there. That was a bad joke, but you get what I'm saying. And then others say that it was human and then unknown, like they can't trace what it is. So that leads to the theory that maybe that there is something supernatural behind Bigfoot. So,
interesting.
Yes. It's a product, but she said, she quotes, analysis of DNA samples prove that Bigfoot is the product of interbreeding between humans and some other unknown species. Yes, that means someone would literally be able to say, I had Bigfoot's baby.
Who's your baby daddy?
Who's your baby daddy? Oh, this hairy man. That's Bigfoot. That's my Sasquatch.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. So, there's several different, I'm going to go through a list here of some theories of why Bigfoot is a supernatural being and could therefore be one of the Nephilim. Now, of course, the DNA theory, because we've got human and unknown, pretty interesting. However, Dr. Ketchum was able to get this printed in a scientific journal. However, the scientific journal it was printed in was her own self-published journal.
Oh my gosh, come on.
And it has not, that was published in 2013. Mm-hmm. There has been nothing printed by this journal since.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, take that for what
So
you will.
I'm guessing subscriptions didn't shoot out the roof.
Or maybe that was so groundbreaking they don't need, there's nothing else they need to say. It's
Or
like,
it could be crickets.
This was their version of a mic drop. It's like, Bigfoot.
Crickets, crickets, crickets.
So, take that for what you will. So this is I'm going to read off this list here. This is some of the stuff's kind of interesting. So the many Bigfoot sightings in close proximities to UFOs. Often both
UFOs.
often both phenomena being reported in the same location at the same time. So we've gone back many, many lives ago where we talked about that there are theories where that alien, what we see, what people, not what we, what people see as UFOs and alien encounters, they could be actually, they're interdimensional beings, therefore they could potentially be demons or demonic. So maybe this leads some credence that if we go with the theory, now here I'm more inclined to believe if we say UFOs are demonic and we're seeing Bigfoot at the same time, you know.
That's their ride.
I was actually going to say like a, if it's mother and father DNA and the father is the unknown, so that means maybe this is
their fathership?
child visits, child visitations.
Like weekend visits?
Yeah.
Custody visit?
Right, there you go. That's what I was looking
Oh my
for.
gosh.
The many reports of disappearing tracks, often seen as a line of tracks that suddenly disappear. So usually whenever they find Bigfoot tracks, they're walking, but eventually sometimes they disappear.
Well, then how are these people getting foot castings?
No, I mean like the trail ends with no reasoning.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like you're following footprints and then
It doesn't lead anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't lead anywhere. So people think that maybe the creature dematerialized in mid-stride.
I'm gonna shut up. Spontaneously combusted. Maybe he
They were
put
beamed
on
up.
his
It's not an invisibility cloak.
yes, yes he did.
Maybe he wears the invisibility cloak all the time and so we can't see him, but it wouldn't account for his feet prints being gone. So, in all joking aside, because I'm sorry, reading the way the sentence was worded in this list really bothers me, but I read more into it. And what they're trying to say is if Bigfoot does have this ability or is actually the spawn of a fallen angel, spawn of shit, Satan. If it's the spawn of these two creatures, then maybe it does have the ability to be interdimensional. Now, to say it that way is a little dematerializing. Oh,
Maybe it went through a portal.
actually, that's down on the list a little bit further.
Oh,
No, not the portal. A little bit more in depth. Extreme fear shown by domestic animals when close proximity to a Bigfoot.
now how would they know?
Or tracking dogs refusing to follow the scent. So I read about that. Evidently, there's certain animals and dogs or whatever, tracking dogs, that whenever they've tried to set them on the hunt to go find one, like, if they're hunting a person, they'll give them...
Go get Bigfoot!
Right.
Go get him!
They're hunting a person, they're going to give them an article of clothing, hair, something to sniff, and then the dog will go look.
A Bigfoot jacket?
But evidently, whenever it comes...
Some socks?
when it comes down to the dogs...
DVDs?
Bigfoot venereal disease? Ew.
Could be a thing.
So whenever the dog... I'm so lost now. The dog smells the Bigfoot hair.
You lost me when you said, give them a piece of hair, clothing, and go find...
A person. But
I've never seen a Bigfoot photo with their clothes on. Have you?
They're all naked. So... the point being...
That's lost me.
The dogs won't track the Bigfoot. And then evidently anytime a Bigfoot has come up on somebody's house, the animals are all skittish, which it depends on what kind of animal you have. I know that some people, they've got dogs that bark at the drop of a pin or a cricket fart, but you've got some that, they see somebody coming, they're going to take off running. So that first part I don't know about. I'm not sure about the second part either. But because, and this leads
They
into...
wear fuzzy slippers. Yeah.
So this goes into that whole theory that, what is this, L'Oreal saying that? What is that?
Oh, you missed the whole thing.
I shouldn't be reading the chat. I should be presenting.
I mean, even Chewbacca wore
A bandolier.
a bandolier.
He wasn't naked the whole time. So
was Chewbacca really a Nephilim? I just blew your world.
anyway, so where they're trying to go with that theory is that people will say that animals, dogs, cats, birds, all things can pick up and see things that we do not. So they're trying to say that this being's supernaturalness is picked up by these animals, and that's why they're averted to them. They don't want to go after them or whatever. So take that for what you will.
Fair.
This kind of goes back to the dematerializing. It says eyewitness sightings of Sasquatches dematerializing in front of them. Now I can't find
When
anybody.
you say that, I think of the Star Trek.
Yeah. So I have not yet found an eyewitness report of anybody saying a Sasquatch disappeared in front of them. Usually
Disappeared.
they've run off or whatever. This is a phenomenon that has been reported by many people over the years and hints at the possibilities of these creatures being the product of celestial intervention. Just as veteran Sasquatch researcher Ron Moorhead has suggested, the creature's fallen angel DNA could give them the ability of dematerialization, i.e. going into another dimension, while their human DNA would allow them to hold solid form while in this dimension. Adding to this hypothesis is the Native American legend that Bigfoot can walk between worlds, in other words, in between dimensions. So, I don't know, which if that is the case, that would explain why we never find a place where they live. We never find bones. Because that's always been my thing. Is like at the beginning, it's like, okay, maybe they're just really good at hiding, But I feel like over the years you would find more bodies. Which there is also a theory out there that these creatures have the ability, or they not have the ability, but they have the mindset that like people, they bury their dead. Which there are other creatures out there in the animal kingdom that do similar things. Emperor penguins, when one dies, the other penguins surround him like pallbearers and carry it over to the edge and push him off into the water. So
Okay.
That's true.
That's not like burying your dead. That's pushing it over a cliff.
I'm just talking about, but there's a human aspect to that almost.
Well, let's see. Let's see what you're thinking.
What do you mean?
If you actually get buried or I push you off a cliff.
Guys, if I come up missing.
I guess he was a Nephilim. He was Bigfoot for real.
I only have a size 11 shoe. My feet are not that big.
What does that matter?
Because you gotta have feet like this big to be a Bigfoot.
No.
Ask Megan.
He has feet like a hobbit.
All right, so that's all I've got on that list. Because as I read more into it, most of it is repetitive. We go back into the stuff not repetitive, but stuff I've already covered. The human and unknown DNA and things like that.
But it's an interesting theory.
Right.
I would have never.
So I actually have a little bit more. Now, of course, I don't have this gentleman's book. I've looked at it, and it's a little pricey, and so I can't justify getting the book. But I've looked at some subchapters. I've actually listened to some.
Jack says you'll end up buried because you pushed out.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, my brother. Anyway,
buried at the bottom of the ocean.
They'll find me.
Will they? Moving on.
If she kills me, guys, I'm coming back to haunt somebody. That way you'll know.
I'll see you coming a mile away, so you can't haunt me.
Oh, even Dobby's looking at you like, crap. So anyway, and I've listened to some interviews from this guy. So I mean, the theories are pretty interesting. This is like a real in-depth study with him. So far, like I said, this is the only book that I've found that really goes in-depth into the study. And there's other theories that kind of piggyback off of it, but mainly the theories of Ron Carpenter and Ron Moorhead are what builds this together with the DNA evidence from Dr. Melba Ketchum. But I actually found some biblical theories about Bigfoot. I know, right? And then some of them are like, things that kind of make you go, So, of course, there is the theory that he's a Nephilim, and that's in Genesis 6, which also, like I said, the comparing is in Enoch 6 through 10. It says the Nephilim were giants whose parents consisted of a human mother and a fallen angel. These theorists claim Bigfoot is a remnant of the Nephilim or some new kind of creature that appeared down the family line. Would such creatures live peaceful, quiet lives in total isolation? Who knows? Another theory, which I thought was kind of interesting, we're going to go to Genesis 25:25, where we talk about the brother of Jacob, the brother of Esau, or of Israel, Esau. Esau was considered big and hairy. It even says so in the book of Genesis. And his descendants were men of the field. That's in Genesis 25:27. There are people that think that maybe Sasquatch is a man of the field and that he is descended from Esau and the Edomites. Would that mean that Bigfoot is a mighty hunter? If he was descended from Esau, maybe. I don't know. Other theorists believe that Bigfoot is a result, and this is from Genesis 4:12, of the curse that God placed upon Cain to be a restless wanderer on the earth. Since Cain was cursed to be alone and always on the move, some say that Bigfoot meets that criteria. The creature is always alone and on the move, but how does Bigfoot procreate? Is he immortal? Maybe if he's immortal, then that would explain why we don't find bodies.
Genesis 25:25.
Yep. The only problem I have with this is the flood. Now, I know that the Nephilim were on the earth before the flood and after the flood. Mm-hmm. But as far as Cain's descendants,
they would be gone.
They would be gone. So that I don't feel like this theory would, no pun intended, hold water. I know. I didn't mean it that way until I came out. But I don't see how. I don't believe, because none of the people that were on the ark were descended from Cain. So how would we be able to substantiate that?
And according to the Word, everything was destroyed.
Right.
And then,
I mean, even with the theory, even the Esau, the Edomite theory, unless the gene is somewhere that has come out, that has followed along, but then what would prevent, two people from coming together and having a child with these characteristics? What? Looked like you were thinking.
You love what song, Jack? I missed it. It's been a while since you posted it, but what if it is Cain, if he's immortal?
There are those that believe that Cain is immortal because when God put the mark on him, said no man would kill him.
But that doesn't mean God can't kill him.
Correct.
And God did create the flood.
There's also people that believe that Cain.
Gets around.
There's also people that believe that Cain was the first vampire. If you're into that.
Interesting.
But that's all I have on my notes. But I just thought that it was really interesting that Leah picked up on that when we walked into that museum, and it was like a theory. I was like, what? Huh?
Well, when it come to my mind, I was like, what?
What? But whenever she said it, like it all kind of, it fell into place for me. I was like, this book was there, and I'm like, okay, so evidently these guys take it pretty seriously. And I wish, like hindsight being 2020, I wish I had actually asked the guys that were there, because there was only two guys there.
I wanted to so bad.
One was behind the counter taking money, and the other guy was the one that just said, hey, the museum is that way. So I don't know if they were actual researchers or not, or if they just worked there, but I really kind of wish.
Hey lady, I just work here. Do you want to buy some socks or not?
Right. Do you want to buy some Bigfoot poop in a bag? I'm just trying to make my minimum wage.
So I wasn't sure. I should have. But, I mean, there's always opportunity to go back. It's not that far. So.
But it would have been interesting to find out, kind of their basis behind it. Talk to somebody that's actually researched it. But digging into it on my own,
Jack heard that the theory that vampires were the pharaohs.
I haven't heard that one, Jack.
That may be a topic for another month.
Maybe. But all in all, so now's the time where we say, you guys weigh in. Anybody that's watching, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I believed in Bigfoot as, you know, when in my youth. I don't know if it was a believe as in like I knew it was there, or if I wanted it to be true, because I've always had a fascination with the weird and the unknown. So, like I said, in 2008, 2009, when they found that one in Georgia, I was excited. I was like, finally, we've got some proof of this thing.
And I remember when it came out, I was going, oh, please.
But that kind of turned me off of it from that point. I have not been a follower of it since. Actually, just about every, I mean, I hate to say this, and I won't do it to anybody. I would never do it to anybody publicly, but, you know, in the privacy of my own home, when I've watched, you know, Bigfoot evidence videos, I roll my eyes, or I'll find ways to nitpick and, you know, be able and debunk, 'cause that's what I do.
Well, some are just kind of super obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we sit around privately and mock people or something. We don't do that. I mean, I'm sure you watch those videos where you're like, well, wow, that's obvious they're wearing like some kind of costume or something.
That's clearly a rubber suit.
Yeah.
Why are they prancing that way? Bigfoot wouldn't walk like that, you know?
Right.
But what are your thoughts? Anybody, whether you, like Leah said earlier, whether you believe or not, I feel weird presenting something like this. I mean, it's an interesting topic, but I don't want us to come off as like, this is what we believe. You know, I'm here presenting data, facts on behalf of someone else, because we haven't run into anything like this before, so we don't have a basis. We only have opinion.
Well, I mean, that's all this is. A lot of paranormal is just opinion or personal experience. I mean, once in a while you may get the grail of actual physical evidence, but I mean, for the most part, we're working on theories and assumptions and with bits of truth, you know, biblically based, you know, whatever. But I mean, I believe this just based on, again, personal experience and what I picked up on while we were there. I'm not saying everything that's labeled a Bigfoot falls under this category, but I know that there is some sort of very real connection, one way or the other. And, you know, that's my opinion. And, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's what we're here. We're just to discuss theories and everybody's opinion. We're not here to argue or say that our way is the only correct, you know, theory or opinion. No. That's what we do here in the paranormal.
Right. The only thing that we'll ever say is absolutely 100% correct is this thing right here.
Well, if you can't tell it, the Bible.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was reading from the Amplified earlier, so it's still got the book jacket on it, but Amplified Bible.
Anyway.
Beverly says, I have never heard of any of those theories. I have always thought he was just a hairy mountain man.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, Beverly, I was that way too. I didn't even believe in it at all. And then when we went to that museum, and you know how I felt about going to that museum, I was like, oh, great. I'm going to get dragged to this museum, and it's just going to be terrible and just so boring.
Beverly, what she shared with you that I don't know?
But I was pleasantly surprised and pleased, and I'm glad I went. It was interesting, even if, you know, even for, you know, argument's sake, even if everything was just a load of garbage, okay, it's still a pretty cool place, and they had a lot of neat things to look through and read about, and several like short videos placed throughout the museum that you could sit and watch and listen to the different stories. So I mean, it was definitely worth the trip.
And I'll definitely, the reason why I didn't end up playing the Sasquatch noises is because the video that I had, I would have to reset it up, and I didn't want to take the time to do all that. So I will actually share it to our page so you guys can have the opportunity to listen to it for yourself and see what you think.
Yeah.
So as an offshoot of that, kind of wrapping that up, Beverly said she actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually did. I was pleasantly surprised. So, yeah.
So when we left there, and I'm actually not gonna add this in because we're gonna wrap up our live here in just a few minutes. I actually want to do better quality. I don't want to just show these on the video, but we had the opportunity as we were coming back. We drove up through Blue Ridge, and then came back around through Tennessee, through Ocoee. And we stopped off up at the Ocoee River, close to where they
rafters let out.
Yeah, back in the '96 Olympics. So, if any of you are old enough to remember the 1996 Olympics,
I am.
So, Leah took some pictures while we were there, using her Fujifilm Insta camera, similar to a Polaroid. Again, for those of y'all old enough to remember that. And we got some interesting things.
Well, let's
on
some
film.
background.
Okay, go ahead.
I typically use my normal camera, it's a Canon, for all my pictures, but whenever I feel like something paranormal's nearby or whatever, I'll always pull out my Polaroid and take a picture, because you probably know more about this than I do, as far as Polaroid pictures, for whatever reason, are they pick up activity sometimes a little better, or I guess the way it's processed. Now
What it comes down to is, unlike a digital camera,
what I'm thinking, yeah,
or a traditional camera, an instant film camera, you cannot do any editing to the photograph.
Oh, okay.
And you can't, like, so I mean, it's instantaneously developed. The only thing that can be done in some of those cases is if you take the cartridge, and I've seen this done. You take the cartridge that has the camera, the photos inside of it before they're taken. The film. You can take that open in a dark room, lay it out, manipulate it, put it back together, put it in the camera, and then when you take pictures, things will show up.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna try that.
However, the first picture she took had something in it. She immediately, and I didn't tell her to do this, I was proud of her. She just snapped a couple of other, I guess you'd call them waste shots, just to get rid of the last few shots, and then she put in a fresh cartridge in front of me, opened it, made me watch her put it in, and took more photos, and we still got the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, what I was just saying is, I know there's digital technology now of what infrared and the different spectrum lighting, or multi-spectrum, that you can, get paranormal activity more so now. But anyway, long story short, I usually pull out my Polaroid when I feel something nearby. So that's what I did, and I guess you're gonna post those.
I am. I thought about actually, showing them here on the live, but I know that the quality probably wouldn't be as good if I didn't. I don't know. Do you have a scanner on your printer? Because otherwise, I'm gonna have to take picture of picture.
I think you're gonna have to take.
Either way,
we'll figure it out.
Either way, we're going to get a way that we can post these for you guys and let everyone weigh in on what they think. My initial thought was that it was a defect in the film, but when it showed up in several different photos and different areas of the picture.
And by the way, when this was a new film cartridge out of a new box, so it wasn't part of the same.
It wasn't even
batch.
the same, yeah.
I know there's two packages in a box, but this was a completely separate box, and it was a different lot number and all of that.
Like I said, when I say she opened the package, I'm talking opened a fresh box, opened the new container, everything, and we were still getting it. Now, we have gotten similar phenomena to this before in Polaroid photographs.
And he thought it was just...
And that's why and then I said, okay, check the lens of your camera. So she's got equipment that cleans camera lenses, little blower things, everything to make sure that, you can clean the camera lens without touching it, putting fingerprints on it, stuff like that. And that was after like the first two pictures or
Jack
so.
has a scanner.
Cool.
Sweet.
But those first couple of pictures, and then whenever she changed over the film, she cleaned the lens too, and it still showed up. So, don't know unless, the last thing I would say...
he goes, what, did you pick up on something? I said, I don't ever pull this thing out unless I do.
Right. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm not saying it isn't. So the last thing that we want to do is just put it out there and kind of let everybody take a look and tell me what you think. If you've got another theory that we haven't considered, we'll take any and all theories into account. But we're not saying that this is proof.
Nah.
But we're still going to put it out there and let everybody see it.
Yeah.
So be looking for that.
It doesn't change my impression. I know what I felt there. And, hopefully this is a physical manifestation of that. And if not, that's fine. If it can be explained or debunked, fine. That stuff doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't mean that it wasn't there. It's just maybe wasn't captured in that photo, which is just fine. It's fine. I want, your opinion.
You're not going to hurt our feelings if you think it's bunk.
No, not at all. I'm not going to argue with you or be defensive or anything like that. We're not about that kind of stuff. We're not. There's one thing about the paranormal field. There are no experts per se in the paranormal. Even experts are still...
How dare you?
Shut up. Even experts are learning new things daily. So, I don't buy into that stigma. So, and I'm by no means calling myself an expert or anything. I just know what I experienced personally. And then, hopefully that has been manifested, but for physical proof. But if not, I'm fine with that too.
No experts. I've wasted my time.
Oh, stop.
I can't do this shit.
I don't know. I kind of cringe. I kind of cringe at that word expert. Yes, there are definitely people that have more experience and know a lot more than we do, or I'll speak for me that I do. And, that's great. We all learn. But there may be things that I've experienced more so that maybe they have not. So, that's what we're here for, is to share our experiences and try to understand these things as they come along.
We should all be learners. There should be no experts in this field.
You should always maintain a learning spirit throughout your life. There's never going to be a time in your life where you have arrived and you know it all, ever. So always maintain a teachable spirit is what I always like to call it.
Beverly says, now I really need to see these.
You're not going to see anything with like horns and carrying on. It's just light. So, yeah.
I thought we saw a woman dragging chains in a white dress. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that was another video.
That was like
Oh. I tell you what, we need to talk about La Llorona, and Beverly, we need to get her involved on that.
Beverly, would you be interested in doing an episode about La Llorona with us? You don't even have to. Well, no, you'll have to appear. You got to be on. Will we make her come on?
Oh, I don't know if she would do that or not, but I would be fine with that.
If anything else, I would want her information, like the stories, her experience.
And she knows so much about the culture, and of course, she was telling me how, I'm sorry we got off on this topic of La Llorona, but how she, different cultures believe she is representative of different things. Like some think she's bad, some think she's actually good. So, that can be a topic for another month.
Beverly says it's very emotional.
Yes, I bet. Yeah, very much so.
All right. So anyway, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, we can.
Or we'll keep going on. We'll do a whole nother hour if we're not paying attention.
I know, we'll keep just talking about this and this and that. But yeah, we'll get those pictures posted up. I did post some pictures. Of course, they're not like super paranormal pictures, but of the trip that we took, some of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when we went up there to say hey to the Mothman. So I posted a few pictures of that on our Facebook page, and just cause. Some are with the thing with all the graffiti was the bunker. We also have some videos of where we did an EVP in the bunker. Are all those on YouTube now?
No.
They're not.
No, the video, yeah, they are. I'm sorry. I thought when you said, I also have a separate EVP that is not video. It's just straight audio. For some reason, I was thinking that, but yeah, we posted all that.
Okay. So if you're interested in that, then those are on YouTube. And I think you try to label all those videos with the...
Yeah, I went back and when I uploaded all of our stuff, so you guys have noticed if you try to surf through our video library here on... Excuse me. I knew if I kept talking, she was going to look at me funny. But I had a bubble in my throat. So I went through and I transitioned all of our content over to YouTube and deleted the majority of the stuff off of this page with the exception of a few. There's some
off of
Facebook. There's some of our lives, one in particular, which is my absolute favorite, the one from Christmas 2 years ago with Logan playing the...
I did the lesson on the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and Logan came in as a special actor in that one.
Yeah, he was representative of the three ghosts.
But it will not let me download that video. And I'm presuming because of the music that was played in it, it's copyrighted content. So that video will forever remain a home here on our Facebook page. Everything else, with the exception of a few of our videos where we were hyping up other videos or advertisements, we've moved all those over to YouTube. And I actually have given them all titles based on what the teaching was about or what particular month that live was. So it made it easier to search. I built playlists over any of the videos that were like a couple of our investigations were different, like part 1 through so many. Excuse me. I put those as playlists so you can watch those in order that they're meant to. And within 24 hours, I will have this video transferred over to YouTube. This video over here, I will leave up for a little while. And then most likely this one will be deleted once I've looked at it and have determined whether or not this is going to be, which quality we prefer. We know that this quality over here is really well, but if you're just now tuning in on YouTube, we've noticed that there's a little bit of...
This is not our trying to set up the shot. This was just a test.
This is a test shot. We're a lot better than this. So, and if you're watching on Facebook, you can see where the camera is right over here. But this one we'll leave up for a couple of days to give to kind of gauge whether we want to use this setup or actually get a different style camera for it. But our goal in the end is eventually to be 100% on YouTube. That was meant to be this month, but we decided to make a couple of changes, a couple of more tests before we decided to go that route. Loki is in there chewing on a cardboard box.
Oh, okay. That's what that is.
So that's going to be our cue to get out of here. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We will be back the first... hold on.
October.
Will that be alive or will we be...
Goodness. Do y'all hear him chewing? It will be on a Friday. Okay,
Mike will be working that day. So let's put this out, and we'll put up maybe I'll have Leah put up a poll. I say because you know how. We promised a long time ago, and we've only strayed from it a couple of times, that we would always do our live on the first of the month. And we're getting into that season now because of changing work schedules. I am not always off on the first of the month. So if we continue to offer our stuff at the first of the month, there's going to be sometimes where it's going to be live, and then sometimes where it's going to be pre-recorded. What do you guys...
Or we may have to change the day.
So that was going to be the next thing. So would you guys prefer us to... I'm so sorry. I've talked so much. My throat's getting dry. Do you want us to continue to stay live? Because if we do that, then there will be...
Some adjustments, like a day or two or a couple.
It'll still be in the first of the month. It may not be the first
Number
day
one.
of the month. If you want us to continue staying on the first day of the month, then there'll be some pre-recorded content. Feel free to weigh in here, chime in after you've done watching the video if this is on a replay, and we'll get something posted up on the Facebook here in a little day or so, maybe asking that question or putting a poll.
He says
up or
live
something.
before the 1st and re-air on the 1st.
We could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, that way we can do a live. That way we can be there. We both can be here. We can actually interact with people. I know some of the hard part about doing a pre-recorded video is, I mean, I'm able to get all my information out, but to me, it's dry because all I'm doing is just talking to a camera. I love the interaction with you guys. I love interacting with her because if you've noticed, most of the pre-recorded content is me by myself. So
That's how it would continue to be.
I prefer this format. So if you guys, weigh in on that, please let us know.
What's it?
She said, talking about La Llorona, it totally changed me. I'm open-minded now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something when you experience it yourself, a lot of things change. Your mind gets changed.
All right, so to start out with, I am going to go ahead and end the stream on YouTube. So anybody watching here, good night.
Jack says, love, love, love. Yeah, I think I like live better myself.
We need to get Jack back over here for a live.
Mm-hmm.
Most of y'all
I guess he'll be our Christmas special this year.
Yes, Jack, you're in. December. The December live, you're in.
Live. What day is
Because
that on?
because I can dress up as Santa Yoda again like I did last year.
It's on a Wednesday.
Ooh, now see, that would be the first of the month. I would be able to be that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jack, try to set apart your December 1st schedule so we can do something.
Yup.
Yup. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you the 1st of next month.
Jack says he's in.
Cool. Jack Haynes, December 1st. Put it on your calendar, guys. All right.
Now we're going to awkwardly stand up and push the screen.
I didn't put the screen, the button. Where's the button?